Greetings, YouTube, and happy morning or, you know, early morning if you're across the pond. It's almost 2 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I am struggling mightily to clear the notifications in the Line app. I stayed off for over 24 hours to avoid any in-game spoilers, and I'm thankful for that because there were quite a few in my inbox. But in the process of that, I hadn't responded to messages in a day, and I was so overwhelmed, and my iPhone 6S, my poor old phone, was so overwhelmed that it has continued to shut off the Line app as in crash every like 5 minutes because of the large amount of 999 plus notifications that have going on. So if I never respond to your message, it's nothing personal. I am failing at trying to get every message responded to, and I think my phone's just finally waving the white flag. It's like, look, I'm done. What are you doing to me? So I'm still going to do my best to respond to as many as I can, but I can't make any promises. Also, I can't say this enough. I had a real life today, which is rare for me. I got out of town to see in-game an IMAX. My small town of Stillwater, Oklahoma does not have an IMAX. And when I opened the Line app, I was very sad to see several people message me being like, literally, I can't believe you didn't review today's offer. I'm so disappointed in you, which sounded like you were my dad. And I was like, I was out of town. I was waiting for my computer. I'll review it now. So please be patient. I cannot stress that enough. I'm still doing my best to help, but it can take a while. You know, I still have a teaching job and an attempt to try to get more than 3 hours of sleep, which probably isn't going to happen now since I'm recording a video at 2 a.m. But this image was sent to me by several summoners, and I apologize in advance. I do not have the server link access. No one sent that to me. If somebody comments on this video and pastes the link in, I will pin that first pasted link comment I see the following morning/today. But I think when we look at the message, we will at least be able to see the important substance of what this video is all about. Because warning, Kabam is about to open some of your old crystals. Now, I say some because I have no idea what even constitutes outdated crystal. Whether or not that's a year or 6 months or 3 years, no idea. This is one of the most vague and confusing forum posts I have ever seen in the 4 years that I've played this game. And so let's read this thing together, shall we, and then discuss it. Because here's the deal. When Kabam Mike very strangely made a comment that hoarding crystals was unhealthy, which remains a comment that, like, at best is tone deaf and at worst kind of is a slap in the face to people who've stayed with this company in this game for years. What they kind of meant, I guess, was it wasn't just unhealthy for people when they're trying to take your units and you're hoarding shards and revives and potions and whatnot, but it's also unhealthy for their server. What do I mean by that? Well, let's let the MCOC team explain in this post, shall we? Greetings, summoners. In our continued efforts to improve the performance of our game and servers, we will be automatically opening a number of outdated crystals so they can be cleared from our data. By opening these outdated crystals that are held by a very small group of summoners, and I have to say, I know a lot of people that hoard a lot of crystals, so unless they're talking about like special side event quests with crystals that have never been opened, I think this is going to be more than a very small group of summoners. We'll be taking another step to improve our server stability for all of our players. We'll be taking this action within the next few weeks and wanted to let you know well in advance. We recommend that you open these crystals yourself as soon as you can in order to avoid any confusion. What crystals? You have not told us what an outdated crystal means or even what qualifies as something that could be opened. If it's anything 6 months or older, these crystals aren't time-stamped, right? So it's not like I hoarded over a year, I think, worth of uncollected 4-hour login crystals, and I used most of those to get through variant number 2 content, and I don't know, what is a year old or not, and I don't know if they do either. But moving on. Unfortunately, we are not able to give an exact date for this right now, as it will take some time to complete this entire list. Upon logging in after these crystals have been automatically opened, you will find the contents of these crystals in your inventory, stash, or champion roster, but there will be no specific pop-ups which list the awarded items. We understand that some summoners keep a collection of crystals for a variety of reasons and apologize for any inconvenience from this triggered opening. Why do people hoard crystals? Well, it used to be like for 5 stars to guarantee yourself the best chance possible to get the featured champion, which is why Kabam literally changed the drop rates from 25% to 4.2% to make it harder for you to guarantee yourself the new champion. Plus, unless you were going to whale out and spend money on Grandmaster or now Cavalier featured crystals, you won't even get to see that new champion to open your shards with for several months down the road, usually. But, why do we hoard crystals? Well, a lot of times it is to make sure that you don't have your inventory caps overflow, because once those caps overflow, if you don't utilize those items, they expire, they vanish, they are gone forever. And so this is the best way for players to control not having those inventory caps go into the overflow. When I first started this game, there were no inventory caps, and so no one ever worried about that. But then suddenly there became a huge issue with this, and some very important items still only have a cap of 5, like team revives, which makes no sense, but that is an entirely different topic for a different video. But for now, here is my worry for this. Let's say that Kabam decides that every crystal that you have hoarded that is over a year old is going to be opened. Well, not only is that going to result in several issues with your overflow, which defeats the entire purpose of hoarding those crystals, but if it comes to, say, the champion roster comment, if this is not a new champion, you won't even know who you got. Like, there's no way to know just offhand who you got, because you're not going to be able to memorize, and certainly you shouldn't, every SIG level of every 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 star champion you have. And so if you've been waiting to do like a special champion crystal opening and they're opened, not only does that moment go away for you, but it also is impossible to track, since they have already committed to not giving you a breakdown of the awarded lists of items that they opened for you. The thing that frustrates me the most about this post, though, is that they give you no idea of what outdated means, no idea of what kinds of crystals they're targeting. It could be all crystals or just some crystals. And then on top of that, they're trying to get you paranoid enough to open all your hoarded crystals to avoid this, because they literally tell you when you scroll up, we recommend that you open these crystals yourself as soon as you can in order to avoid any confusion. What crystals that are how old? You gave us this vague message and then a very specific and disturbing demand in order to free up server space. And how many people are going to be like me and they're going to read this and think, well, maybe it'll free up server space, but what it's going to do more than anything is ensure that if you don't have those crystals hoarded, especially like the 4-hour crystals, or even like, I don't know, maybe you've got 50 to 100 tier 4 class catalysts because you're one of those in-game players that has 12 out of 12 maxed out class catalyst. Are you now going to log in and see that you've got 50 of those things in your overflow, and then you've got to make a choice between using rank ups or doing the ultimate terrible trade in the game of 3 tier 4 class catalyst of one class for 1 of a different class? I don't know. I just know that this message is tone deaf to not only why summoners hoard crystals, but also just the nature of almost stoking paranoia and fear, because you don't know what crystals are going to be opened in your inventory and which ones are safe. They have given you no idea of what it means for an outdated crystal to be outdated. And so when you have a confusion because of a lack of transparency, which is Kabam's old favorite word, about what even categorizes as a crystal that is going to be affected by this mass opening by the company, you're left to just say, well, I better play it safe and I just open all my crystals, and that only helps Kabam and it hurts the player, because you are defeating the entire purpose of hoarding crystals, as most of those items as currently constituted by the items cap limit will go into your overflow, and then if you don't use them, in some cases in a very small amount of time, like we're talking about a few days, especially if it's something like an arena boost, for example, you're going to lose it. And that is really, really unfortunate. So I know it is almost 2 a.m., and this is probably only going to be watched by American insomniacs or maybe people waking up early across the pond. But regardless, this is a really important issue. If somebody could please post the pasted forum post link in the comments below. I'm not sure if I'll have the time to pin it before I go to bed at probably 3 a.m., but I will at some point when I wake up later on today, technically. So there you have it, YouTube. Warning, Kabam is about to open some of your old crystals. I hope it's not all of your old crystals, but what the heck is an outdated crystal? I can't tell you. I just know that Kabam is trying to get you to determine that for yourself and be afraid enough to open those crystals, and that is a very troubling thing for a company to do. I, for one, say hold off on that. When in doubt, make sure that you don't give the company a bigger advantage over you saving precious money and units.